Alright, you guys. Hello. Welcome back. I'm gonna have to do this without glasses because doesn't work with the ring light. So just we're gonna roll with it. And if I cross my eyes, it's not my fault. No, I'm just kidding. But anyways, so big news on the health front. I have lost 20 pounds of fat solidly. So that's huge. So I can honestly say from about mid-August or even mid-July, in that range, till today, I've lost 20 pounds of pure fat. I've lost about 16 pounds of weight, and I've gained around 4 pounds of muscle. So that's good. Really, really good numbers. Really, honestly happy with it. But also there are some weird things that go along with it that we're going to get into today, because I feel like it's important to talk about, because I just think that my experiences with this are probably not as uncommon as some people may think. So just as a reminder, my body fat percentage at this point is 52.5%. So I'm very heavily, super morbidly obese. Okay, so I'm in a very specific category of people. And it is a crazy place to be. It's crazy hormonally. It's crazy as far as like the mood swings, the hormones shifts. You know, the season has changed, as I've talked about. We're now in fall, and it is definitely having an effect on my body and on my situation. And it's really weird. And I look forward to the day of getting down to just obesity, because I believe at that point I probably won't have as many shifts or swings as I do now. Because right now, like I said, they're very intense. And even now, like as I'm talking to you guys, my skin feels itchy, likely because my liver is processing stuff. So it's tough, and I have to let people understand how hard it is to get out of morbid obesity. It's not something that you can just jump out of. It's very difficult. And there usually does have to be some type of hormonal help, whether that is through people being hypothyroid and they have to take thyroid medication, or like in my case, I'm not on any medications, but I do take herbs. So I actually do rely on natural treatments to help with my hormones. So I want to talk about what's been happening. I hit this milestone a while back, but I have plateaued a bit since then. So it's been around a week and a half, almost 2 weeks, where I've been in this range of fat loss where I haven't really progressed further. And I believe some of it has to do with the season shift, because it did get cooler. So instead of it being like 88 degrees, it's now 70-ish, like we're more in that range. So it's very different. And everything in fall, it kind of downgrades, it downshifts. And as we get towards winter, a lot of things go dormant. And this also does happen in a weight loss journey. So the seasonality, I've been through a full year now of doing this. I went through it obviously last year from March to March. And it was really difficult to handle the winter last year and the fall. Last fall, I was having panic attacks almost every day, especially as we got towards Christmas time. So as the fall went on, it got worse. So it was really hard. And then in the winter, I was really kind of low energy, depressed, and very like toxic. Which, whatever, maybe I'm always toxic, but it was more pronounced over like January, February, March of this year. And I was moon-faced, which I'm terrified of moon-face striking again in my second winter, my second Bidenomic winter. No, I'm just kidding. But my second winter through this detox process. So I'm a little bit nervous about it because I'm like, oh God. So I just want you to know I am having a bit of, not anxiety, but just, like I hope I did good enough this year to where it won't be as bad this winter. So I'm trying to do everything I can to bolster. I'm like holding on to the heat as much as I can. Like we do not have our AC on pretty much at all anymore. Like we're trying to keep things as warm as possible for as long as possible in this house. And, I'm still wearing my shorts and stuff outside, and I'm just trying to soak up as much sun and heat and whatever as I can before the winter. The other things I'm doing to kind of counter the mood issues is I did actually, I'm not just taking stinging nettle root anymore. So for those of you who may not know, I take stinging nettle root. I've taken it every day of this journey, basically. It's something that does bring down your estrogen naturally. It's an herb that does it, and because it's essentially an herb that's just a food, you can have stinging nettle roots, you could eat it like a food. So because it is an anti-estrogenic food, you can basically take it forever. It doesn't really matter. I don't know if I will take it literally forever, but I will take it at least until I no longer need it. If I don't take it, my psyche goes a little cuckoo. And I've talked about that on this channel where I've run out of it. And so I've had to go without it for a couple days, 2 or 3 days. And the effects are very crazy. So the herbs, that part of the journey is actually really helpful if you're not on any supporting medication or anything like that. So do remember that, nature does have things that can heal. And it is important to utilize anything you can to get out of a difficult situation, which morbid obesity is a difficult situation. So that being said, I am going to start taking ashwagandha, KSM 66 ashwagandha. I'm just taking it once at night. I don't want to take a high dose of it just because it's pricey. So I'm going to spread it out. And I just started taking it last night, and it is having an effect. It's different. And I'll probably get, I think I'm going to also get milk thistle. That's also another anti-estrogen herb. So I'm really going to be combining a lot of things over this fall and hopefully the winter as well. In the winter, I want to get some other herbs, basically. But I'm just going to really try to bolster it because last year I really didn't, and it was rough. So I'm just trying to do this the best that I can because I don't want to repeat of last year. Not that it was worse than anything ever. Like the winter of 2021, so after 2020, going into 2021, that was like one of the worst winters I've ever had in my life. I think that was the worst winter I ever had. So it's like, it was still better, but when you're like at the floor, being slightly above the floor is still pretty bad. So we're going to see how it is this winter, which I will definitely be documenting it, especially as I've started cutting calories, and I'm still going to be pursuing weight loss throughout this fall and winter. But that being said, it is going to be challenging. Last year I was really focused more so on just maintenance in the sense of trying to build up my thyroid and trying to heal my hormones as much as possible. And as I told you guys, I got to that level in August where I could start cutting calories and start focusing and transitioning to a weight loss journey as well as the hormone health journey. So it's shifted and I've done well, it's working well. But that being said, I do have to shift some things. Basically, weight loss throughout the seasons, from what I've experienced, and take this as a mental. What I'm talking about is more of a mental thing. Regardless of the season, if if you're just trying to lose weight, essentially calories in, calories out is real. If you eat less, you'll lose weight. It doesn't matter what time of the year it is. But as you lose weight, as you know, it does strain your mental health because of the estrogen that is released. It strains your liver, it strains other things. So depending on the season, those side effects of weight loss will be worse or better. And how I would describe it is in spring is kind of like when you're losing weight in spring, it's like level ground, but the wind is at your back. So it's kind of like as you go along, it gets easier. And so it's kind of like a nice feeling. It can feel very like hopeful, especially after the winter. Summer is like downhill. So summer, it's like it's happening fast and quick. You don't have to put as much effort into it, but the actual weight loss effects, so the hormone release and stuff, can be intense because it's so boosted in summer and your body is just like going ham. Fall is again level ground, but instead you're facing headwind. So as you go along, it gets harder. And in winter, it's like uphill. So, like I said, I think it's important just to realize that seasonality, as well as your overall hormone and thyroid health in weight loss, it is going to be a factor. And this year, for me, it should be better than last year. But for anybody who would be interested in starting a thyroid journey, know that your first year on it is going to be harder than your second, It's something that progressively gets better with years of time. And again, we need to shift the narrative from the biggest loser. You do not lose 200 pounds in 10 weeks or whatever the fuck. You lose, if you're super morbidly obese like me, you have to really know that your journey is going to be like 3 or 4 years. It's not going to be 2 years. It's not going to be 1 year. These are unrealistic expectations set by media and perpetuated by so-called scientists and fitness people that have never been morbidly obese. So what I'm telling you is if you are in my position, if you are morbidly obese, give yourself time to heal. There are going to be times, if like my first winter, I had to eat more. I had to. I stayed off the PUFA though, I stayed strong in the ways that I needed to stay strong, but I didn't lose, and I maybe even went up a bit over the winter. You have to do what you can, and you kind of do better the next year and then the next year. So you have to just think of it as a journey, and it's not so much about the weight, it's about your health. Because let's talk about the other thing. Losing weight is very awkward. My body looks weird to me. I feel weird. When I look in the mirror, it's like, oh gosh, because again, I think a lot of people, they try to lose weight for vanity. And I do think that vanity can have a part in it. I think it's fine. I don't think it really matters. Other than the fact that if you base your motivation purely on vanity, you're not going to look good for a long time. When you're in between, it's weird, and it's like if you're looking at it from a sexual marketplace value type of sense, which a lot of people do, a lot of people like very fat people or they like you to be thin. The middle ground is weird. It's kind of no man's land in that sense. So it's awkward. And again, these are things that cause people to not want to lose weight. So I hope this can be educational for anybody else as well that's interested in the plight of the morbidly obese. But if you are morbidly obese, don't let this get to you, This is why I just don't think it's good to put vanity first for weight loss, because the in-between time is awkward. It feels like puberty. It feels weird. My body doesn't look like my body. I took a picture today in this pink shirt and I compared it to the first picture I took. And I have lost weight. My fat roll by the bottom of my stomach is definitely much smaller now than it was, towards summer, towards July. And it's great. I'm happy. But my body still looks weird. It doesn't look like, a magazine cover or anything. It looks odd. And it almost looks like I didn't lose any weight, but I know I did objectively, and the fat rolls are going, because that's the thing too. You lose fat in your secondary sources first. So that's things like your back, your legs, that kind of stuff first. And then secondarily, also your chest and shoulders. So like that area is where you'll lose first, and then like your legs, thighs, or like your thighs, ass, belly, especially the belly, will be last, because that's your primary fat storage. And the thing is, this journey, it's not a survival journey. You know, you are not putting your body into a survival state if you are doing it in a prothyroid way. So it's not like keto, whereas with keto, you lose weight in your stomach first, primarily because you're putting your body in a survival state, which I will warn you, it makes it much more difficult to maintain long term, especially if you are morbidly obese, because the hormonal waves and the damage to your already very damaged thyroid and systems will affect your mental health. And then people say, oh, well, you relapsed. Honey, it's not necessarily. Food addiction is real, but it's not every reason somebody binges. People also binge because they're depleted, because of hormonal factors, and because of feeling things like depression, anxiety, because of hypothyroidism. That is also why people eat. Like I said, I've had both experiences in my life where I've eaten just for emotional reasons and I've eaten for physical reasons. And oftentimes when you've done a harsh diet like keto, you eat a lot because you are depleted, because you're seeking relief. And the issue gets worse if you eat a lot of PUFA and things like chips and fried foods and that kind of stuff and baked goods. Then you've compounded an issue, and this is how people stay fat forever. So what am I doing? The opposite. And what does that mean? My journey is not conventional. My weight loss looks weird. It's awkward. I feel a bit of body dysmorphia. I'm like, how have I lost weight when I feel like I look like I didn't, but I obviously can see that I did. It's very odd. But in the end, I'm still pleased because I'm probably going to buy a smaller size of pants when things get cold. And that's a tangible result. So it's like, whoa, it's happening. What? So I think this journey, it's not so much about external motivation. You have to be very internally motivated to do this in the long term. And you really can only depend on yourself. You know, other people with any weight loss journey, they're not going to help you. You have to, it's always great to get help, but you can never expect it. And that's where I'm at. So basically, what's next? I have to cut my calories again, which I'm sure anybody hearing me say that knows that it's a trigger, that it's bothersome, that it bothers me, that it's getting real. But, you know, having lost that much fat, my body doesn't need as many calories to move around. So I'm going to have to cut some calories. I'm going to have to cut it down. And essentially, I'll have to either start going to the gym or I'm going to have to cut my calories down. And for now, I'm going to cut them down further. I'm thinking I'm going to start going to the gym towards November. Or Halloween, maybe my first day. After all, that would be the scariest thing I could do. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that because I'm hoping that I can handle it just because I've exercised a lot this year and I might be ready for that next step. But if I'm not, that's okay. You have to give yourself grace. You stay strict, you stay strong, but you also give yourself grace and you give yourself time. This is not built in a day. You know what I'm saying? And it's happening, and I'm really happy that it is happening. But all those other things still stand. So with that, you guys, I'm going to go. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know what you think down below, and I will talk to you guys again soon. Bye.